gravel by California, starting off this beautiful morning here in Canada. Today, my focus is going to be on the Angeles Crest Highway, which is the backbone of the San Gabriel Mountains cutting through the Angeles National Forest. I'll be riding the most popular segment from La Cañada up to Clear Creek, and then a little extra dirt up to Josephine Peak, where I hope to find a little snow. As part of State Highway number 2, the scenic byway, known as the Angeles Crest Highway, stretches 66 miles from La Cañada Flint Ridge to Pear Blossom Highway just past Wrightwood. Construction started in 1929, but took 27 years to fully complete, partially due to World War II. It even had a connection once down to Azusa for 20 years, until a rock slide closed Highway 39 in 1978. While there are a number of off-road connections, my favorite feature is reaching the number of mile-high passes, including Dawson Saddle, which tops out at 7,900 feet. For starters, many people use the Shell Station by Highway 210 as a starting point, as a last chance for snacks and a flushable toilet. Crossing the freeway, you'll see a number of signs that will alert you to the seasonal openings as the highway faces occasional closures from snow and fires. The first mile to Crest is the toughest of the climb, but it stays in the single digits to barely classify as a warm-up. The second mile begins to serpentine, as it's your last through the residential area, as the possibility of adventure soon begins. One option here is to take a little dirt road here down to El Prieto, Brown Mountain, and possibly up to Mountain Low Railway, where you can make a loop, come right back down the Angeles Crest Highway. Continuing on, you formally enter the Angeles National Forest, where the views ahead of you are void of anything structural. Your total immersion begins at mile 3, but you also soon get distracted by people lining up for a dirt turnoff. Mount Lukens is another great piece of dirt. It smells like another video. The road wiggles as you get a sampling of forest trees, spotting firs and pines taking their place on the north face of the mountain. At the halfway point of the climb, you can actually get into the big ring for a half mile, but reality sets in soon as you settle into a steady 5.5% for the rest of this climb. A hallmark from this point on are these big sweeping curves, which may feel repetitive heading up. Keep an eye out passing the popular Grizzly Peak Trail, which connects to the aforementioned Mount Lukens Truck Trail, which you can now see lining the ridge. Passing the 3,000 foot mark feels like an accomplishment, as you still have a lot more climbing ahead than you think. After you've found your rhythm, eventually the next phase of the ride takes shape. As you see Josephine Peak in front of you, you've got one big bend of climbing, a pavement. Reaching the top of this climb doesn't exactly feel like peaking, as the flattening out of the road is countered by a "why me" headwind. It's another half-mile down, where most riders pull over at the junction to reevaluate the next portion of their ride. You can see why Clear Creek is a great turnaround point, with bathrooms, water fountain, and H2O if you brought a dog. For those that want to continue on, you can either go north at the intersection up Angeles Forest Highway, where you connect to Big Tujunga, Upper Tujunga Canyon, or for dirt options, Mount Gleason or Pacifico Mountain. A lot of people instead continue up the 2, where it's about a 5-mile hike up to Red Box, where it splits off to Mount Wilson, Mount Disappointment, or one of my dirt favorites, Mount Low Railway. The turn off to Josephine Peak is a skip away up Angeles Forest Highway. But be prepared for this climb, as it's almost 4 miles, lingering around 9%. The first half mile is the least fun, starting up with some rocky conditions and then shifting way to double-digit grades and a check to see if you're properly dressed. I'm at about a mile up and I stopped to take in the view of Mount Disappointment and Strawberry Peak. But really, I'm just glad to be out of the shade. It's like the temperature difference between Palm Springs and Neptune. You wonder if you climbed this quickly, or did everything just drop out below you? As it's a combination of the two, as you hit a nice change of pace on the switchbacks. The grade lightens up a bit here, and the grounds feel fairly groomed. But the constant changing of perspectives is clearly the highlight. As the dirt straightens out, you soon find yourself on the northern edge of the peak. At 4K up, I hit the point where you continue up to Josephine Peak, but off to the east is Strawberry Peak, which is a loop you can make back to the highway, mountain bike suggested. If there was any chance of finding snow, it would have been here in the shadows. But it's better not to battle winter, because you're winning with these views. It's another 2 kilometers, which feels longer because you keep thinking you're near the peak until finally you hike a bike to the top. Josephine Peak is right in the middle of all this mountaintop activity. Behind me, you've got Mount Gleason and Pacifico Mountain, and then in front of me, there's Mount Lukens, Disappointment, Wilson, even Baldy's way back down in there. But Clear Creek is right in front of me, and I'm definitely going to have to layer up to make it down. Heading down, you should be familiar with the conditions, where to use caution, but the switchbacks are clearly the funnest. There is one problem here: overconfidence. Got a meaty cut here. That's what happens when you start to have too much fun. Heading back down the crest is straightforward fast, as you won't have as much time to take in the views now. Keep an eye out towards the bottom, with traffic merging from the neighborhoods, as your ears might be so wind-filled, making it hard to hear much else. On top of that crash, my ears are all blown out, so I have a pretty bad medical report after today's ride. Still, going up the crest is definitely worth it. Even if I gave you a small taste, there's tons of other possibilities which we'll be sharing. So please, subscribe up here to Grab by California, when we'll be bringing you more stories, really, from the state of dirt.